Well, howdy, and welcome to Saturday's edition of Today's Bread. Well, this week's topic was a life governed by love. We're going to finish with this week focusing on love does not condemn. Scripture reference Romans chapter 14, verses 19 through 23. You know, Christian liberty is important, and it is to be valued. However, liberty carries distinct responsibilities that are rooted in the command to love. Love should compel us to edify one another, building each other up in the faith. When Paul wrote of a Christian eating with offense in verse 20, he describes someone who is doing an action that he considers clean, but is inerrant because some who believe it is to be unclean and is harmed by their actions, verses 19 and 20. Now, in contrast to the wrong exercise of liberty, Paul explained how liberty was to be used in the right way in verse 21. Christians act properly when they choose to build each other up rather than harm each other. In essence, Paul was exhorting Christians to avoid acting in a way that would undermine the good work of God, whether in a church or in the lives of individuals within that church, over non-essential matters. Believers can cause problems when they use liberty in a way that causes harm to a fellow Christian's walk with God. In every decision, it is God's instructions that count, not our opinions or the opinions of others. Paul told Christians to conform their convictions and actions to God's instructions laid out in His Word in verses 22 and 23. Any action not done in faith is sin. Verse 22. Oh, that's tough. The faith in view in this verse speaks to the firm conviction that an activity, in this case eating meat, aligns with God's will. Paul indicated that outright disregard of God's clear instructions is not the only sin, however. If we have concerns that our actions are contrary to God's will, we should abstain. For by acting against our conscience, we would be sinning. In the same way, then, we are to respect the consciences of others, for they too are called to abide by their convictions, even if we disagree with them. Thank you, and I pray that you have enjoyed today's portion of Fresh Daily Bread. You know, I want to invite you to come be a part of God's family. Saturday's prayer focus for America is that churches across the country would be set apart for Christ, committed to purity, worship, and outreach. Now, Living the Way will be broadcast at 4:15 p.m. There will either be a live at 5 service or a previously recorded power service with Tommy Fisher broadcast at 5 p.m. Now remember, Jesus, He's coming back soon. Here's Saturday's blessing. I bless you with understanding deep in your heart that God will always, always provide a safe place for you, a place of refuge. Now may the bread you've received give you strength for today.